With us is the Honorable Karen Bass of the 37th District of California, including Culver City, parts of West LA, South Los Angeles, and Exposition Park. She's also chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and the point person on a list of police reforms introduced this week in the House of Representatives. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about some of what is in this bill: banning chokeholds, a national database to track police misconduct, all of which appears to have some bipartisan support. But it would also make it easier for victims of police abuse to recover damages and make it easier for charges to be brought against officers regarding abuse. That may be more problematic. Is this an all-or-nothing endeavor, or are you open to compromise?
Well, to have a big piece of legislation done, we always know that at the end of the day, there are going to be some compromises. But I do think that there are some key features of this bill that are super important if we're really going to make a qualitative change. And one of the things that I don't want to see happen, and neither does Speaker Pelosi, is to just do changes around the edges. So there's a couple of other provisions, too, that make it easier to prosecute a police officer, that changes the standard. Because right now, it's basically based on whether or not an individual officer, if he had it in his mind to murder, as opposed to whether or not he was reckless in his intent. And so some of the things that need to be changed structurally, we believe will make a real dent. If an officer feels that they can essentially kill someone with impunity, then what will stop the next incident? But the training and the database are critically important. Tamir Rice would have graduated high school this month. He was 12 years old when he was killed by an officer that had been fired by a department just a few miles over. Breonna Taylor would be alive today if we banned no-knock warrants based on drugs. And then obviously George Floyd and Eric Gardner would be alive if chokeholds were banned. I was impressed at the hearing because my Republican colleagues really didn't spend time attacking the bill. What they attacked was the rioting, the violence, which none of us support. So that to me means that there's a real opening. And I look forward to working with my Republican colleagues. A lot of members called me over the last few days and want to talk, and I'm very encouraged by that.
You appreciate the pushback you're already getting from police unions on this?
Well, I do. However, yesterday I met with the chief of police, Acevedo from Houston. He's also the president of the Police Chiefs Association around the country and was very supportive. Now, he has a few issues with the bill, but overall, he is supportive of the effort to reform. And one of the things he said to me is that, there's some differences in the union. So not all unions are adamant against change. And so I'm hopeful that we'll even get, I don't know that we would necessarily get their support, but I will tell you that the Fraternal Order of Police did a letter. Now, again, it wasn't a letter saying we love this piece of legislation, but it also wasn't a letter saying we condemn this piece of legislation. And so to me, what that means is there's room to work together.
It's clear Democrats are concerned that the call to defund police is not a winning message in November. Joe Biden came out and said he does not support that effort. Mayor Garcetti said the same thing. Are you at all concerned that defund the police will overtake your message?
No, I actually do not believe it will overtake our message. But let me just tell you what I do think, because I'm on record saying that I don't support defunding. However, you have heard for years from police officers that they feel like they have to clean up all of the challenges and problems in a community. Our police officers in the LAPD say they're not social workers. They should not be responsible for dealing with homelessness. They should not be responsible for dealing with mental illness. What has happened in our society is that because we have refused to invest in communities, then communities have problems that then we leave to the police. And that is not fair to them. That is not fair to the community. And the idea that we need to look at the budgets and we need to increase our investments, I agree with 100%. We have that debate nationally all the time over the defense budget, and I see it the same way. We have no problem pouring as much money as we need into the military, but yet we are going to haggle over a $400 payment for food stamps. And so the priorities in our country have been off balance for years. I've worked on that imbalance for a number of years, and I agree with that. And so once we have introduced this bill and it's passed the House, the Congressional Black Caucus is introducing a massive piece of legislation called Jobs and Justice. And that's going to deal with all of the other root causes of challenges in communities. If we don't invest in communities, then we leave it to the police. And I think that's wrong. I think it's time to rethink that, and I'm completely on board with that.
Before you go, I have to ask you, Politico this week reported that there's now talk in Washington about you becoming the next Speaker of the House, that you have the skill set from your experience as Speaker of the California State Assembly, you have relationships across the aisle, you were seatmates with House Leader Kevin McCarthy, Minority Leader, when you were both in Sacramento. I'm curious what you think of all of that.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly complimented by it all, but I am so honored to serve with Madam Speaker Nancy Pelosi right now. And as far as I know, she's not going anywhere. And I'm happy about that. So, you know, I'm complimented, but I'm doing just fine. I have 3 big jobs right now: chairing the Congressional Black Caucus, chairing the Subcommittee on Africa, and chairing the Subcommittee on Crime. And she has given me this big responsibility to get this piece of legislation across the finish line.
Congresswoman Karen Bass of Los Angeles, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, thanks for taking the time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.